Café Anyway. Hey, it's Mike.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
We are on FF episode 2730, and Mike Matthews. Welcome to the show that is called
Mike's Daily Podcast.
I'm Mike Matthews. I've done this podcast for a while, and we broadcast from Café Anyway, somewhere in Podcastro Valley, the last place on earth. And then you tally up all the podcasts I've done. It's a lot, and we cover some things. And then Mike Matthews talks about stuff in his life that stings, like people wanting to buy his house and give him nothing.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
I get these wonderful, they look like they're handwritten, but it's done by AI,
Mike's
I think.
Daily
But it's nice, flowery
Podcast.
letterhead.
Yeah!
There's flowers and butterflies, and it's a green font. Green ink. It's so nice. Bright little flowers. It says, "Hi, Michael." Oh, trying to butter me up by calling me by my 2-syllable name, huh? Not Mike? All right. "Hi, Michael. I am interested in buying your property at bleep." Don't want to give you my property. I know nobody listens to this podcast, but just on the off chance some crazy, nefarious terrorist is listening, I don't want them to know exactly where, though they could probably look it up on the internet. But at any rate, I don't want to make it that easy. I can pay cash and purchase your property in as-is condition. You won't pay real estate commissions, don't need to make any repairs or updates, and I can close on your schedule. If you're interested, please call or text me at 555. Get it? It's a joke if you were alive in the 70s. Every single TV show, whenever they gave a phone number out, started out with 555. I look forward to hearing from you. Sincerely, Carlos and Anita. Well, Carlos and Anita, thank you for sending this to me. And like all paper that has a beautiful, look at the back of this paper. It's so nice and blank and white.
And here's today's podcast picture.
I'm going to use it as scratch paper, because I write a lot, and I'm always script, but I don't like to, keep stuff around. I have too much stuff as it is, so I just throw out most of my stuff. So podcast picture, though, I hope I will never throw out, because it's a beautiful picture from a holiday scene there in Fremont. Some of these old houses there, they do it up really nice and got their Christmas lights up. See that picture at MikesDailyPodcast.com to get you in the Yuletide mood. I used to do every year this contest on my podcast, and the late great Basil the Boxer would join me on this. There he is now singing a Christmas song to you. I think it's Jingle Bells. You know the guy that wrote Jingle Bells failed at just about everything he ever tried to do? He was in multiple fields. Salesperson, engineer, you name it. He did it, and he also wrote the song Jingle Bells, but he failed at everything except writing a song that's very memorable. And if you've never heard the Bare Naked Ladies version, check it out, because it's hilarious. It starts off really beautiful and mellow and sweet and emotional, and then it turns into a raucous affair. Raucous.
Magnification.
Anyway, Café Anyway, I was discussing Jingle Bells and holiday lights and Christmas time.
Mike's out of left field recordings.
Recording everything captures actions that will never again be repeated.
The national average for a gallon of gas is going down in the U.S., with national average just at $3.14. I spent about 90 cents more than that here in California at the cheapest gasoline that I can find in the East Bay. It is sometimes, usually Costco gets you the cheapest gas. In Podcastro Valley, we got Quick Stop. And then over there in, I think it's called National. That's over there in Union City on Mission. That's pretty cheap. And I've heard other places. Stanton Avenue. That name pops into my head for some reason. More than half of all gas stations have gasoline below $3 per gallon.
A fine article.
You silly great fat article.
Tesla cars are recalled over an autopilot defect. You probably heard about this. 2 million of them and more cars. In some circumstances, when auto steer was in use, quote, there may be an increased risk of collision. Oh, wonderful. Another reason to hate Teslas. They're everywhere. If you all come on down to Podcaster Valley and drive around, you're bound to get behind or in front of a Tesla at some point during your 5-second drive. You will be there everywhere. Fremont is even worse. The recall will affect Tesla's Model S, Model X, Model 3, and Model Y vehicles because Musk likes to use the word model. And these are cars built since 2012. Tesla is rolling out an over-the-air software remedy to fix the problem, as those are what they do. Now, I am not a technical techie, but I do know some.
The Marco Minute.
Run into them in the Bay Area. And I remember one guy saying, oh, you got to airbox that. Bleep. You can't have it be able to be accessed and have over-the-air software remedy. Anybody can tap into your car's software if you do that and cause all kinds of problems. And there were incidents of that about 10 years ago. I forget what car maker had those problems, but I remember him saying airbox it. So I think I'm saying that right, where you put, I guess, air around so it can't be touched at all. Flavorflation. What's that? Inflation may be cooling down, but companies still have a few trips up their sleeves introducing flavorflation as we go outside of Café Anyway, where we bring you Mike's Daily Podcast somewhere in Podcastro Valley. Anyway. The last place on earth. When brands cheap out on ingredients, shoppers are shouting all about Ritz crackers. Why? Because they're crumblier.
Whoa! Mike's Matthewsman Park.
The front panel will close automatically. Please remain seated at all times.
And my mom would never wrap them up or put them in a Ziploc bag or anything to try and keep them fresh.
Hey, kids.
So they'd be open for a day or two and always go stale real fast.
It's me.
Not to mention, it's not the healthiest thing for you to eat. As a child, I was rather large, needed to go on a diet, but I was eating all the tasty, fattening type stuff.
Do-re-mi the clown.
Not good. Twix apparently has less caramel, and Breyer's ice cream.
The Daily Haley. Almost Daily Haley.
More ice than cream. What? And you've heard about shrinkflation, where you're buying like the same bag chips, but it's less chips, for an example. Apple's introducing a new iPhone security mode to protect against stolen passcodes. Now, I've noticed Google recently did some kind of update with Chrome, and they're making it a little bit less that autofill. If you ever had, I don't know the password to this website, and then Google says, we'll save you your password. And so when you forget what the password is, and then you go to try and go back to that website, and it won't autofill for you for some reason. They're being more chintzy, I should say, chintzy with the autofilling.
Magnification.
So you end up having to go into settings, look for the password manager, and have to find out what the password is that way, unless you've hidden it on a piece of paper somewhere that you've stuck somewhere underneath the fridge. That would be quite a hiding place.
And now we return you to our regularly scheduled program with Mike Matthews.
The setting called Stolen Device Protection will use the device's location to determine whether the user is at home or work, and then would require Face ID in addition to a passcode to perform sensitive actions such as checking or changing passwords. So they seem to be on the leading edge of all this. I think all the other companies look to them. I don't know where Apple is looking to, or if they're just brilliant and come up with this stuff, or who they're probably stealing it from someone. All this from Rob Black and his podcast, The Rob Black Show. I produced the podcast, put it together for him, but of course he does it live on the radio on AM 1220 KDOW weekday mornings, and then he is on the television in the 9 o'clock hour Monday through Thursday. And he likes to talk about Netflix. Netflix has released its viewing statistics for nearly all of its titles, the viewership statistics on all its shows and movies. It released its first What We Watch, which ranks almost all of its shows and movies by amount of hours viewed over the past 6 months.
The Fascinating Material Project. FM Project.
Ginormous.
And, you know, Netflix, they have a lot of titles. They got a lot of movies and TV shows, documentaries and such. 18,000. That's how many. 18,000. And I know 17,999 of that is crap. Netflix will release updated reports every 6 months for us. So, hey, we'll get to know. Thank you, Netflix. It's like they're doing their own ratings for us. Netflix has long had a reputation for lack of transparency about the popularity of its shows and movies. Netflix now has almost 250 million global subscribers, far outpacing any other streaming service. They are in the lead.
We love you, Mike.
They don't have podcasts, though. Audio podcasts, the person... I mean, if you were to call an app a person, the person with the most streaming is Spotify. People go to that to listen to podcasts. Possibly you were listening to me on that. Though there are many other places to check out this show. But you can find out where I am at all the places at MikesDailyPodcast.com, the website that I put together.
The Cutting Corners Corner.
The Cutting Corners Corner. Hollywood actors and writers both mentioned wanting heightened transparency during the strikes that they were doing this year. Netflix's new advertising tier left brands wanting information. So, yes, they're now advertising, showing commercials. My lovely lady friend, for some reason, does not have that. So we've been lucky not having to see any ads. Season 1 of The Night Agent, which is a Netflix original action thriller, that got 812 million viewing hours, putting it out in the lead. But the top movie was The Mother with Jennifer Lopez. And 55% of Netflix viewing came from original films and series. And 45% was from licensed titles that they had to purchase basically from other movie companies and such. So 10% more are checking out Netflix's own original stuff. And the enthusiasm for non-English stories generated 30% of all viewing. So it is nothing to sneeze at. It is a whopping 30%. Not a 3, not a 2, not a 0.003, but 30%. So people are okay with reading subtitles. Or maybe they're okay with really bad voiceover, I guess. So credit cards are getting harder to get. Did you know that? That sounds like a Bison Bentley thing. Well, it's apparently something that's happening. Getting insurance in California is getting tougher, and getting credit cards is getting tougher. With the holidays in full swing, more shoppers are requesting increased credit limits and getting them. Lenders are getting stingier about issuing new cards as the economy slows. Credit card debt reached a record $1.08 trillion this year. The average debt of people with credit cards is almost $8,000.
You will travel into the incredible universe.
And that is at a 10-year high. After COVID, inflation and interest rates went out of control, so people have less emergency funds. And Americans are using more credit card utilization. And here's that 30% again. It popped up again with a different story. Over 30% or well over 50% of their credit card allowance they're using for their 30%. They're using credit cards. Then they can't get approved for another card because their credit rating is down. For 2023 overall, the application rate for higher credit limits increased to 14%. That from 11% last year. Just be careful with the credit cards. And use your points. And use the points. Sometimes they do a thing where you can get a discount on a gift card. Let's say with Lowe's. And they'll give you like the same amount, but like 5% more for 5% less. I forget how it works. But you end up getting a deal using Lowe's versus just putting it all on Amazon. Outside of Café Anyway, somewhere in Podcastro Valley, the last place on earth. Look who is here now.
Hello, Mike Matthews. It's Chely Shoehart, gift shop supervisor. I got a bunch of Christmas snow globes, Mike Matthews. Do you want them?
I thought you were selling them to try and pay off your high credit card debt that you have.
No, Mike Matthews, I don't have any credit card debt. But I'm really sad about the last Curb Your Enthusiasm, Mike Matthews, because Larry David's funny.
Yes, he's funny. And I hear the next season is going to be the last one. Where have I heard that before? But there you go. Look who else is here. Hello, Mike. This is Floyd the Floorman. And this is John Deere, the engineer. Mike, all that was fascinating stuff that you covered today. You didn't get political on this podcast, so...
Kombucha!
But I did... Okay, we were talking all about Harvard and some of these big Ivy League schools. And they were up there on Capitol Hill.
Woo!
Being grilled. And they said some things that a lot of people took offense to. This now, embattled Harvard University president Claudine Gay is under fire for allegedly plagiarizing portions of her PhD dissertation, which concerns racial themes for her doctorate in political science from Harvard back in 1997.
Magnification.
It is interesting. Parents pay so much money for these schools, for their kids to go to these schools, or the kids are paying so much money, are, now locked into all this student debt for the rest of their lives, all this horrible, the amount of money being paid, and these schools are just so nefarious. In one instance, Gay is accused of lifting nearly verbatim work from Lawrence Bobo and Franklin Gilliam in their paper called Race, Sociopolitical Participation, and Black Empowerment. Gay is further accused of lifting material from legal scholar Carol Swain without giving a citation. Let's see. This is a bombshell. Who's writing this? She got her tenure based on 4 articles with a methodology that was later debunked. Okay, Harvard's a joke. It's what this was someone who said on X. I think this is someone named Greg. Lawyer Greg? Okay, don't know who that is, but let's see. And that's all that I wanted to. I don't want to cover the Hunter Biden thing. I don't want to talk about Donald Trump. I will say, I hear my lovely lady friend. I hope I have his energy at his age. I don't know what he's using, but he has got some amazing resource of energy that keeps him going. Well, thank you for listening to the show. I hear my lovely lady friend. We need to get going. We got things to do. I know you got things to do too. So we'll end the podcast now so you can go and get them done and do them.
The word of dog.
There's a pastor in America named Michael Youssef. I think he has a religious radio show called Leading the Way. And he's a Christian pastor. Despite severe restrictions surrounding Christianity and ongoing unrest in the Middle East, he led an evangelistic event in Cairo, Egypt, and there was over 17,000 people there. Amazing. Okay, got that from the Christian Post. That popped up and all the other stuff that I have here at Café Anyway. But if you'd like to call me, here's the number.
Call Mike at the Café Anyway hotline. Area code 510-228-4640.
Yes, call about anything that we covered today. It'll be cool if you call. And with other ways to reach me, it is A-Frame.
Mike's Daily Podcast is written and produced and performed by Mike Matthews. His podcast is super easy to find. Download or listen to his show and read his blog at MikesDailyPodcast.com.
Email Mike now at MikesDailyPodcast@gmail.com.
See you tomorrow. Bye!